president gave the economy an A+++++++. But you know this, I know this. The November Fox News national survey found that 76% of voters still view the economy negatively, and that's up from 67% who said the same thing in July. So you've watched these trends over the years. You've seen the ups and downs. What explains that in particular?
Well, first of all, don't forget that because of Joe Biden, then a typical family buying a typical home would have to spend $1,200 a month more on their mortgage. Because of Joe Biden, groceries went from $400 for the typical family for a month to $525. And we're making an enormous amount of progress. People's purchasing power has gone up by $1,200 already this year, but there's still room to go. And the fact is that Joe Biden dug a big hole, and we're filling the hole really fast.
Jessica, one of the things that President Trump will do, no doubt, is to remind people that the economy that he inherited from Biden was the one that ramped up inflation. So because the media will always pick up on Democratic attacks like Shapiro, Newsom, et cetera, then President Trump, I think, getting out there will at least try to prevent any ground being gained by Democrats there.
He's going to try to, but the argument that the guy who's been out for a year, that it's all his fault when you've implemented a totally new economic agenda and that it's a failure in basically every corner of it, is not really resonating with people. When Joe Biden's inflation number was over 9%, the entire world's inflation number was up. Donald Trump doesn't have the same issues that Joe Biden did. He doesn't have a supply chain problem. He doesn't have a global health pandemic that was killing millions of people all over the world. He's just setting our economy on fire, and not in the good way, in like the dumpster fire way. The A++++ grade, obviously that's ridiculous. But there are some key indicators that Donald Trump and his administration knows that this is going really badly. First, Susie Wiles having to go out there and say he's going to get back on the campaign trail. That'll really animate the right. Well, guess what? It'll animate the left as well. We aren't getting the jobs numbers anymore, the GDP numbers, or the inflation numbers. And we know that Donald Trump, if a number is even remotely good or he can lie about it, he tells you what it is. Layoffs on track for Great Recession levels. ABC says 70% are spending more on their groceries, 60% more on utilities. Reuters, manufacturing has been contracting for 9 months straight. And this Farmer Bailout, $12 billion of his tariff pot, which he didn't need to put the tariffs in the first place. And the farmers are speaking out about this.
Gives himself an A++++. That's 5 pluses on the economy. What grade do you give him?
Well, Caitlin, if this is an A+++ economy, God help us if we ever get to a B or a C. And he talks about he's lowering prices. Well, right now, all over this country, people are getting insurance notices that their premiums for the ACA are going to double, in some cases triple or quadruple. Trump can lie all that he wants, but when people walk into a grocery store, they see the outrageous prices they're now paying. When housing costs all over this country are going up, when kids can't afford to go to college, when 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck, no, we do have an affordability crisis. I think the problem with Trump is he hangs out with his billionaire friends all of the time. And I got to admit, for his billionaire friends, he is, in fact, an A-plus president. They have never done as well as they are right now. They are getting richer and richer, while tens of millions of Americans struggle to put food on the table.
We're still struggling, even when we have our money coming through. We had to suffer going almost a week with no food.
I mean, food prices are up, but I think gas is coming down. I think things are getting a lot better.
The economy's down the tubes. Healthcare is awful. Prescriptions are terrible. Groceries are off the charts. Yep. And I think the only way we're going to do better is if he gets out and somebody else gets in.
My kids' daycare went up. Can't afford the cost of food. Using credit cards for everyday expenses. No money left after their bills are paid. Pretty much just a whole bunch of financial mess.
We changed presidents at the beginning of the year.
We did.
And the guy who moved into the White House said that he was going to fix it. Several times he said it would be easy.
Absolutely.
Has he fixed it?
Absolutely not. I'm definitely waiting for him to fix it.
Jones is a 3-time Trump voter, but she says he has simply failed to keep his promise to lower the cost of living.
I'm very let down by that. very, very let down because I feel like it's only gotten worse.
Age 18 to 29 on Trump and the economy. Back in October of 2024, who did those under the age of 30 trust, Harris or Trump? It was Trump by 10 points, according to the Marquette University Law School poll. Look at where his net approval rating is now on the economy. Minus 52 points, very similar to what we saw in the CBS News YouGov poll in terms of his overall drop in support on the net approval rating. And this minus 52, it's just stunning.
So Donald Trump's favorite news organization in the whole wide world is finding it pretty difficult to defend his economic policies and just the state of the economy in general. At this point, it's Trump's economy. And even if you want to say, well, Joe Biden did this and Joe Biden did that, you were supposed to be the answer to all of these things. You know, you were the one who was supposed to do a course correction. So the fact that prices aren't going down, the fact that things aren't becoming more affordable means that you're failing. It doesn't matter. So what? You're a failure. And so we should just look past that and continue to kiss your ass and continue to just leave you up on this pedestal, even though you're not following through on what you promised that you would, right? He goes on television and when he's interviewed and he tells the American people that in fact they're not paying more for groceries. In fact, they're paying less for energy. Gas prices are at $1 in some states. But that just isn't true. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of lies that sell politically, but you can't convince people that they're paying $2 when in fact they're paying $5 for something, right? And again, you were the one who was supposed to fix all of this stuff. So Joe Biden this, Joe Biden that, Obama this, Obama that, whatever. At the end of the day, we have systemic issues in this country. You know, that's the main deal. In Donald Trump's first term, he gave a historic tax break to the wealthy and corporations, and he did it again in this term. And now he's just looting everything that isn't nailed down. Him and his administration are just straight up robbing the American people blind, just like they did last time, except this time it's even more egregious, even more sloppy, and even more all up in everybody's faces.